So continuing on with the quest system, we're getting very close to the end.
Yeah.
What are we going to do in this this video here?
Well, this could actually end up being a very short discussion. I'm not sure. It's just an idea that I had that I mentioned early on, and that was player-to-player reputation. And even that isn't really a fair assessment because of the way we've been using the term reputation up to this point, that makes you think it's some sort of number that's going to slide up and down or do something. And that's not really what I had in mind. It's more like feedback.
Okay.
And the premise of it was still kind of based off of eBay, which was the last note that I'd written down. I just thought it would be interesting if there was some sort of eBay-like, and I'll put that in quotes because that's funny, system for leaving feedback for people who do jobs for you.
Do we know by any chance if Eve has anything like this?
I have no idea.
Okay.
But there are so many systems in that bloody MMO that
we've not been playing it for a significantly long amount of time. Gavin, do you know if there's any sort of feedback system in Eve?
I'm trying to think. I can't imagine there wouldn't be.
Okay.
Like Zach says, there's just 18 million different. There's a system for everything.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's an actual sort of subsystem, or whether it's via the sort of the chat moderators, because a lot of whether you like go whinging essentially to teacher and say, somebody attack me.
Right. Well, two things come to mind.
Yeah.
First of all, when a person is posting a job, if we had a job type that could be posted by a corporation, so this isn't just like Johnny Schmo's out looking for someone to go and collect some wheat, for him, but a corporation has a
Collect some what?
wheat.
Oh, okay.
What'd you think I said?
That's not what I thought you said.
Never
Anyway,
mind then.
Continue.
So, yes, I see. So, with a corporation, it would be cool to see things highly structured.
Yeah.
That is one of the things I really like about Eve.
Sure.
So, if you have a structured corporation, you could have somebody whose position is for handling job placement on the job boards, and those people could leave corporate-style feedback, because which brings us to the second thing that comes to mind, which is abuse. And I don't think that with a corporation we would necessarily see the abuse, because the penalty that could come from us, those that are supervising the whole game, could be far more detrimental than to just the person, but it could be to the whole corporation.
So wait, help me see what you're talking about. Who would the feedback be left for? A corporation, a person doing the job, the person making the job?
The person within the corporation that wanted to leave feedback for somebody. Like if Autodesk said we're hiring for somebody to do a SIGGRAPH presentation for us, and then Autodesk left feedback saying that Zach did a superb job at SIGGRAPH.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So then it's more. It holds more credibility coming from a corporation than if little Johnny got up there, just some random guy who needed you to go out and collect some stuff, and he left you feedback.
Sure.
But is that NPC generated reputation?
No.
Or is that
No, I'm thinking this is all, as Zach said at the beginning, player to player. So in this case, it would be a player who's
a representative?
A representative, someone who's part of the corporation, whose job within the corporation, among other things, is posting jobs and managing jobs on the job board.
Okay. And this could either be like a gang or a NPC-run corporation or a player-run corporation, because we haven't really talked about how that's going to come together.
Well, that's kind of its own discussion.
Yeah. Well, right now, we're just focusing on player to player, and I'm just throwing out the first thing that comes to mind to me.
Yeah.
Which is in a respectable situation. I would think that would be a more respectable situation, open to a lot less abuse than if somebody else.
Burning it down to the bottom line is you don't want normal, your average player who's actually just enjoying the game to be able to leave this feedback because there's too much of a chance they're going to abuse the system.
Yeah.
Then don't even worry about it, because I don't think you're going to have that many people out there who want to take on the role of, oh, well, I'm also the company feedback giver.
Remember that actually fell into someone whose job it was to dispatch, looking for jobs, clients to take care of doing jobs, looking for workers. That's what I meant to spit out. And in Eve, they do a really good job with compartmentalizing tasks in corporations, and I've been very impressed with how strongly that is represented in Eve and followed, respected. So that's something that comes to mind.
Sure, sure. Are there any other thoughts on the matter?
No.
I guess not.
No, not really. No.
Okay.
I can see it working, and I can see it going horribly wrong.
But you could say that.
Like, yeah, it's just there is the opportunity for abuse. I don't know.
But
Are you
Well,
envisaging
what
a
happens
two-way system?
What happens in eBay if a person leaves a bunch of negative feedback for no reason? What happens to eBay trolls? Like, how do they get dealt with?
eBay generally bans them.
Okay.
The thing is, this again, it comes down to this is another system that will the sort of policing of it will have to be done by hand.
Right.
I would have thought.
Yeah, it would definitely have to be agreed. Instead of going to the bathroom, Nelson, spit it out.
So basically, the only way that a player can get good reputation from player-created quests outside of corporations is going to be through their job completion score?
Without something like this, I would think
Yes.
that that'd pretty much be it.
Yes. Because really, that just boils down to them doing a job.
Yeah, I
could you
think
differentiate between, in the job completion score, the number completed that are from NPCs and the number completed from other characters? So if you hovered over the score, it might split it into sort of red or green.
I don't see, that's fine. I hear where you're coming from, but if really put to the task, I don't see the relevancy of the differentiation there. I mean, either they're doing their jobs that they say they're going to do, or they're not doing the jobs that they say they're going to do. Whether they come from an NPC or whether they come from a player should be completely beside the point.
yeah, I agree with Zach.
Okay.
To what extent, I suppose...
Let me throw this in real quick, because Chris, I definitely like the breakdown idea, only because, this world in which we're describing is just filled with data, and I'd be very much for that. I think what comes to mind is time, because obviously if someone completed the quest, well, they did good, they completed it. That would be the only other thing that I'd be interested in knowing as someone looking to hire this other guy to do something for me was, did he complete it quickly? But one of the things that we discussed is if you have quests that need to be completed quickly, you'd want to make those a time-based quest. So in that light, you could really put it on the responsibility of the quest giver to make it a time-based quest if time is really of essence. And if time isn't of essence, but they complete the quest, then should we really open it up for them to say, yes, completed the quest, but did really crappy. It took 5 days to do, or 2 weeks because they went on vacation, or whatever. That's my thought there.
My thing with it is that either it would have to be... I can see it in the way you're talking about avoiding abuse by limiting it to certain people. I can see working, but because of the sort of policing of it that's going to be necessary at all, I'm just wondering whether it's a system too far almost. I don't know whether there's ways you could have a similar system that was more applicable. Because when you first started talking about this, I was envisaging it being on a player-to-player basis, just like eBay, with each player being able to leave.
As soon as a player can leave text behind that other people can then review, is the moment spam.
Yeah, somebody's going to start talking
Yeah.
about
that
the
up.
size of their genitalia.
Or where to get Viagra, or
Yeah.
where to buy credits, or whatever.
Well, then what if we've already kind of decided, or for the most part already kind of realized that the job completion score is an adequate replacement for player quests? Now I'm starting to think about what's the benefit of allowing these corporate representatives to leave feedback.
No, they don't. I was just trying to give an example of the only thing that I thought, if we wanted to have something like this, my concern would be the abuse to the
Yeah,
system.
basically, his point translated to no.
But if we have to, here's a thought.
Yeah, then unless
We do something like this.
It's like 1 out of every 10,000 players.
Ain't that bad. Whatever.
Well, yeah,
We need this many players, though. That would make me very happy. But no, it would just be a very low number of people, however you break it up.
Sure.
An extremely low number of people per capita on the actual game system who were even authorized to touch this at all.
Right.
Which means, in the end, that you're really making a system that only is applicable to, what, like 5% of your audience at most?
No, well, or for people that are... that would be more corporation focused.
Right.
So if another corporation was interested in hiring you to do a job for them, they could take a look at what professional past jobs you've completed for other corporations. But again, I go back to, no, don't leave feedback, and give them a nice CV, an auto-generated CV that says they've done this many for NPCs, this many completed for human players, split down to this many created for just standalone human players, or this many created for corporations. You know, we could pull some nice data from what they do.
I think the job completion would be an easier way to get a very similar result for less work and requiring less oversight.
Yes, and
that's essentially my feelings on that.
Yeah, and I agree. I still see the one place that we're not going to get away with having to do some sort of oversight, but I'm thinking volunteers to help with this, and that is going to be for, and we'll get to this way later, for people that are actually utilizing tools to create their layout of the property on their land.
Yes. That's a whole can of worms.
The only thing that I would advise against would be, even if you're doing like the data mining for a CV, don't differentiate between player quests and NPC driven quests. Almost, and this is going to sound really weird, but it's almost like the civil rights nature of it. Treat your NPCs like they are people like in the game, and suddenly they are of equal importance.
I hadn't even looked at it that way.
I was going to say something like that earlier but it occurred to me that really you can tell straight away unless you've got some sort of amazing Deep Blue to do talking for them. A billion some things in the universe, but we need. I was going to say, how much differentiate? Do you want to be able to walk into the town and see that's an NPC, that's another player, that's an NPC?
And you will be able to.
It. But I would.
Because NPCs don't spend all their time jumping on the bank.
Exactly. An NPC isn't going to walk around in circles and then take off all their clothes and put them back on and.
Well, we could really screw with people and make them do that.
Make them do that.
Yeah. Well, and they're not going to, run around with run on all the time like a player would.
Exactly.
Well, why not? All you do is spawn another NPC that does that. Because the point is, it would be wonderful to go in there and as a player, you shouldn't know. That's a perfectly serious point. It would be lovely not to know the difference between the NPCs and the PCs.
Yeah, but you get into a suspension of disbelief issue with how silly is this world if you're making NPCs that do all the funky things that players would do.
Well, no, they don't all. They're not all.
No, but you know what I mean.
It's a minority of players that's, certainly a minority of total man hours that is spent mucking around. Like that.
But they still do things like when I'm bored, I jump on posts.
Yeah, I was going to say we would have to program NPCs who ran around and found fences to run up and down the length of and jump up and down on the corner of, and we'd have to make sure they were named things like lamppost or chair or goblin hater.
Those sorts of behaviours, I would imagine, just from my very limited knowledge of it, would be far easier.
Okay, so bringing the focus back off of NPC and back around to the quest system.
Exactly.
I think if you wanted to have more detailed feedback than just the job completion score, you could implement a star rating system for different categories of what part of the quest they did well.
I think that gets too complicated.
Yeah, I don't think you really need it.
And also with all of those sorts of feedback systems, unless they're compulsory, unless it's some sort of dialogue pops up that they have to pick a 1 to 5 star value.
I think actually that was the shortest lived idea we've had in all these videos. It's like, we should do a star system. It's too complicated. Yeah.
And that wraps up.
No, it was something that I was just ticking over in the back of my head and I thought it was worth it.
But I wonder what the user take-up of it would be if it's voluntary.
But if it's voluntary, then just like what you see on online reviews, where there's a considerably more amount of people who had bad experiences who will give a 1-star than people who had great experiences who don't even bother leaving a 5-star.
True.
Exactly.
Nelson, quit sounding so down about humanity. You know, we're all made of the same stuff. Generally, humans are pretty good people.
Oh, we are. I've only left 1-star reviews because I only review things that broke.
We mean well.
Complain about it.
The human race means well, Nelson.
It does. I'm
all
saying
right.
it's the behavior
All
that
right. All right. So we want to get done with quests and on to some other systems. So
I think that's going to wrap this
I think
video
that'll
up.
wrap this one up, and we'll see you guys in the next. I think we're finally getting down to all of the...
Well, there's some kind of, they're not quite like idle remarks, just various stipulations I have about a quest system in general that I wanted to go over, and they do kind of shoot off in a whole bunch of different directions.
Yeah, so that could end up going across or spanning several videos. But we'll catch you guys in the next video, and thanks a lot.